Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, this is the next episode of Picky Metal Guitarist React Slash Reviews Mastodon. Today we're doing The Hunter, and the first song here is called Black Tongue. Let's go ahead and get into it without any further ado. Those octaves again, of course. Okay, that low string in between those octaves, very Mastodon-like. Sounds a little bit more stripped down than what they normally do, but I might be soon eating my words here because Mastodon is very eccentric, very interesting band, full of character and personality. Ooh. I love whatever that other instrument is playing the same thing and giving it a lot of texture. There they go again with those third intervals. Ooh, I like the stretches there. 8 to 12, 3 to 6. Nice trem picking. Some guitar harmonies. Kind of metalcore-ish pattern there. I feel like they've maybe stripped it down a little too much. It feels like a little bit of spice is missing to the music. I love this part though. Alright, very interesting. Although I feel like it's maybe not as interesting as what I've heard before from them. I like those big octaves, once again, those third harmonies, major and minor thirds, the stretches. I'm actually feeling like a 79 out of 100 on that for the first list. We're going to go to the next song called Curl of the Burl. Alright, next up we have Curl of the Burl. Let's go ahead and check it out. A little bit more of a simple riff. Just using single notes here at the octave. Probably one of the, if not the most simple riff they've ever written so far. Nice. I like the little slide into the fifth fret there. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about this. It's quite a bit more generic than what they would usually put out. More like butt rocky. I didn't expect them to stay as crazy as they were, but this is a little bit too, like everyday what you'd hear from most other bands. I kind of dislike that one even more than the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and give that one a 75 on the first listen. So we're getting a little bit worse here. Hopefully they can redeem themselves with the third song, Blasteroid. It's a kind of awkward riff. Not awkward in a good way. It's like Foo Fighters. I mean, I get you can only do so much creatively, but they seem to be running dry a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit interesting. The pre-chorus and chorus is my favorite part. Same for the first two songs. Verse riffs are kind of lacking here. I like that bass slide down. And the song's over. I'm really not sure what they're going for here, but it's really definitely not the best work by them. I think I'm feeling a 74 for that one. 74 out of 100. Next up we have Stargasm. A lot more interesting than the other one so far. This is more like it. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. This is really cool. Where was stuff like this so far? Okay, I liked these two parts, but they really stuck them together. Super awkward. That's really cool. Utilizing that open string. Really amazingly written melodies here. Nice, that part again. This is definitely going to crack an 80 from me. Seems like they've brought some of their best ideas out to play on this fourth song here. Single notes and octaves, but really captivating melodies. You know what? I think that deserves an 82 on the first listen. So, let's move on to the fifth song, Octopus Has No Friends. Wow! Now they're getting real creative again. And that transition to the verse didn't even feel awkward, because they're going into just more hammer-ons. That's 4/4 time, too. Love that melody right there. And the harmonic content of the thirds in there. Nice. Those groups of 8. Are those artificial harmonics? I don't think it's tabbed right. I'm hearing harmonics. If so, it's very creative. So, at the fourth and fifth song, they're remembering how to be Mastodon again. No lead work though? That sucks. I didn't know what to expect from the title, but that song was pretty awesome. I'm feeling an 83 out of 100 first listen for that one. And next up we have All the Heavy Lifting. Nice guitar effects. Going down the half step. Is that like every verse riff now that they do is just those single notes rapidly picked? Am I the only one hearing a metronome very faintly in the back? Tell me if anyone else hears that. I love that big dramatic jump in the octaves there. Ooh, that was a perfectly executed return to that intro riff. I feel like some of the riffs are a little bit disjointed, just a tiny bit, but it's still really good overall. Some really don't sound like they fit together, some sound like they fit perfectly together. Now, they've made that intro riff sound very triumphant here. That certainly brought back a lot of what makes this band great. The octave slides, the single notes, verses, that was really interesting. I think for my first listen, I'm going to go ahead and give that an 81 out of 100. And let's now move on to the next song, the title track of this album called The Hunter. I hear a acoustic doubling that clean guitar. Really unique notes here, note choice. How did I know they were going to do that resolve right there? And they're choosing to use this for the verse riff. Really interesting. Picking this for the main meat of the song. And that vocal melody is so haunting over top. They're really winning me back with the later parts of this album. The guitars here almost kind of sound like Led Zeppelin. They're really washy sounding ones. This verse sounds very Opeth-like. I love that little part right there. And instead of going down to the open string, he goes up to the 3rd fret to have a different vehicle there. Vehicle of modulation. A lot of vibrato on that last note. This is just beautiful, but really haunting and eerie at the same time. Ooh, I love how that guitar just faded out and came right back in. I love that little passage right there. That was super interesting. And Brent was just going wild with the solos there at the end. Well, let's see. What did I like about that song? Pretty much everything. Clean guitar parts really encapsulating. Brent was going crazy with the lead work there. The modulations of like the passages they were playing on the clean guitars doubled with that acoustic. That was just too good. I'm actually going to go ahead and give that an 85 out of 100. So they're kind of making a resurgence here, kind of winning me back overall. I'm excited for what's next. Next song is Dry Bone Valley, and let's check it out. Some volume swells with a lot of reverb and delay. Going right into some octaves, I can see. Power chord slides. Really interesting how the vocal melody plays along with the guitars here. Okay, that's super creative. Going even past the octave. Once again, I love that part right there. Hammering on from the octave to go higher. So creative. Like, who even thinks of that? Ooh, solo. Okay. Nice little perfectly long, perfectly okay solo right there. That was a tiny bit of a step down, but not really at all. I love how they started off. Then they go right into their signature sound like you would expect from them. Overall, for that one, I think I'm feeling about let's go 79, just like the opener. And let's start the next song here called Thickening. Really cool. Using that octave, going up to the 9th fret. Whoa. The hell is that? Really cool shift there. Amazing phrasing, really cool chords. I'm loving this one so far. It seems like just an amalgamation of a lot of ideas they've done before on this album, but it's not really bad at all. The 3rd song on this album is the worst song I ever heard from Mastodon, and still got a 74. Well, not counting Call to Mastodon, which I didn't know was just a compilation of old demos. I am feeling a 77 out of 100 for that one. I especially loved the clean guitars and the acoustic and like the movements they were doing, like moving the root notes all over the place. And yeah, let's go ahead and get to the next song called Creature Lives or Creature Lives. Sounds like a sorrowful bass here. We got some guitar in the right ear. This song is so interesting. Is this like a cover or something? It sounds very unique and just odd. Some big chorus vocals and some big octaves going on at the same time. That felt kind of like an interlude, but it was the length of a normal song. So I think that one's getting a 72 out of 100. Didn't really have much to offer, but it was still pretty interesting. But regardless, we're going to head on to the third to last song here called Spectre Light. Alright, let's go ahead and get it going. Sounds like Iron Tusks, that riff does. Nice. This one's definitely the most upbeat one I've heard so far. I love this emphasized triplet hits right there. Okay, I love that. Those syncopated hits with the single notes, super interesting. This part's really fucking cool. That riff still reminds me so much of Iron Tusk. It just does not go down, instead it goes up. I love how he says that title it off like that. Wow. That song was super fucking cool. I loved pretty much everything about that, especially that bridge. That bridge was super cool with those emphasized, kind of dissonant sounding chords thrown in between the chugs. I'm gonna go ahead and give that an 84 out of 100. Yeah, Bedazzled Fingernails. What a interesting title. What is happening? Wow. Those like robotic vocals in the background are crazy. That part sounds so much like it was in 4/4, but it was not. It's crazy how this band can do that so seamlessly and effortlessly. Such a complex song with such a weird song title. Let's see what I liked about that one. I mean, we have all the hammer-ons, open strings once again, super interesting tie signature changes. I mean, that was pretty amazing here. I'm gonna give this an 82 out of 100 to start off. And finally, we're on to the final song, The Sparrow. Here we go. And that classic build in, build up. That part reminds me of Another Brick in the Wall. If you know the part I'm talking about. Until they go to that Mastodon part. Uh-oh, and you hear that bend in the background. Also, that was a really amazing solo. Perfectly tasteful. And I love how it just keeps repeating and it just fades off into nothing. Yeah, that was another beautiful song. I love the phrasing, the chord choices, the note choices, voicing of everything. Really tasteful guitar solo. I'm going to give that an 83 out of 100. So that brings the average for this album to a nice 80 out of 100. So that's my final score for this album, 80 out of 100. I might start a few more bands up. As always, I'll post my review to this on my Album of the Year page later on. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one. And I'll see you guys next time.